after the breakup of my first marriage. It was horrible. It was awful. It was the worst experience I've ever been through. I think it was an intense grief and pain and loneliness that was that really reduced life in many ways to survival. It was about, how do I get through another day?
Same when I got divorced, and it was the most intense thing that I've ever been through. And I think for the first time, I realised what it meant that your heart can actually break.
I think what was important for me was somebody who had been a friend of mine for many years, who themselves had been through a divorce many years earlier, said something really significant to me. And he said, most days you will feel you're not going to get through this, but you will. I still remember probably about 5 years on waking up one morning and going, wow, I've gone for 3 days without thinking about it. Somehow that just didn't feel okay for a long, long time.
And it takes time, and I think it takes a lot of time.
A lot more time than people realise. And as a counsellor and I do quite a bit of marriage counselling now, it's interesting when I have people come to me whose marriage has just broken down, and they ask me if they should, how many weeks they should wait before they start dating. And it's all I can do to actually hold back my laughter, you know, and I kind of go, let's talk years. Let's talk years rather than weeks, because the idea is, well, we'll get over this in a month or two and then we'll just move on with life. But it takes years to get over a major loss.
And it also has a domino effect. It doesn't actually only affect you, it affects children, families. So it has a whole domino effect. The effect on my children was really hard, and that was painful to see. And years later, they told me things that I was unaware of. I was in very bad shape myself. I know when I started dating Paul, one of the first things my son said to me is, I never want to see you like that again.
Divorce is a very intense grief. It's a very intense pain. It inevitably brings about a crisis which involves a lot of loneliness, and it's the time when we need each other in the church community more than we ever have.
And I don't think we notice that until we've actually gone through it ourselves. Because I understand how hard it is and how in your face it is when you go to church on the Sabbath and everybody's sitting as a family or having a family meal, and you're not that family. And
you remember you used to be. And, you know, the grief is quite overwhelming. I remember just agonising and pleading with God. And I also remember God giving me peace. I can understand why God hates divorce. I have no doubt about it. It's not good for kids, not really good for anybody. Also know that God hates cancer. God hates any kind of suffering, but it happens because we're in a broken world. Sometimes things are not going to go the way they ought to, the way we'd want them to. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have to live with the consequences of those mistakes. And I think we're nowhere near open enough to that sort of dialogue and that conversation in the church. Just wish we could be more real about that and more open about that, and therefore minister to people who often do feel very lonely.